ரோலக்ஸு இவனெல்லாம் தேடி கண்டுபிடிச்சி கொள்வது கஷ்டம். முதல்ல நம்ம டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூஷன் ஆரம்பிப்போம். எவன் கையிலையும் சரக்கு இல்லாமல் தூங்காதாங்க.
Alright, you know what happens next. But what I did not know would happen is this. Did you see that? The sheer downpour of collective madness. A high volume declaration of joy. This is nothing new because both you and I were a part of this experience. But as I keep watching the reactions to this one scene, I can't stop myself from pondering, why is this happening? I mean, ultimately there is a character who is literally someone's head, and the moment his face is revealed that's covered in blood, the audience goes crazy. And yes, all of us in reality know how excited everyone is for Surya, especially seeing him on the big screen. But for this character's actions of brutally killing his goon in one movie, in this particular movie, what makes the audience lose their mind? Because this was a suspense despite revealing in the posters. This moment generated immense satisfaction in the hearts of the audience because this defied all expectations. That's the word, expectations. A strong belief that something will happen or be the case. Expectations build curiosity and suspense, which further makes you excited, and as an audience, when your excitement is paid off with a revelation, a discovery, witnessing the unknown, this is when you cannot stop yourself from celebrating. And when it comes to delivering on expectations, the name that comes to my mind in big bold letters is Lokesh Kanagaraj. His cinema has proven to provide some of the most emotionally fulfilling experiences, especially in the theatres. With just a handful of films, he has earned the biggest reward, the biggest token of appreciation that a storyteller can possess, and that is the expectations of the audience. I mean, I don't have to explain how excited everyone is for Coolie 2, Kathy 2, Coolie 2? Maybe, I don't know. But basically, all the other films that are going to be directed by Lokesh. We all are excited. We'll talk about all of this in the end of the video. Right now, there are a lot of good videos that deconstruct his filmmaking style. I agree with all of them, and I humbly wish to become a part of that conversation by adding my 2 cents on this one aspect of his filmography that I feel is done superbly well consistently. And you know what? This particular aspect is something that I always expect from his films, and he never disappoints. I know this is not something that only Lokesh does in his films, but right now when I think of the most impactful character introductions, his name comes to mind. And I want to talk about character introductions because they are pivotal moments that do the job of setting expectations for the audience. To be precise, character introductions help a lot in building anticipation, which is excitement, expectations, and suspense. If we have to define anticipation as a cinematic device, we can use the word foreshadowing. What is foreshadowing? How does it work? What impact does it create? And how it defies expectations? Let's talk about it. So without any further delay, sit back, relax, and... That's right. So foreshadowing is a trope that basically is meant to prepare the audience for what is going to come in the story that they are witnessing. It is like leaving clues on the way for you to solve the mystery and reveal the suspense. The audience becomes the investigator who is trying to unpeel the layers with the help of audiovisual elements that have been hidden or are present in plain sight sometimes to keep you excited and anticipate the occurrence of an event in the story that you are witnessing. Foreshadowing is like creating a map, charting the course for you to navigate the story. Now this applies to the entire narrative and when it comes to reaching the end of the story, but it also applies to character introductions, which don't happen only at the beginning of the story, especially if we talk about the cinema of Lokesh Kanagaraj. And in terms of character introductions, foreshadowing can be defined as an overarching term that is used to describe the build-up of an anticipation, choosing the placement of indications of an event that is about to happen. And the event, of course, is the introduction of a character. Let's look at the different ways in which the characters in his films are introduced. I will talk about films in the LCU and outside the LCU. And in the end, I want to talk about my favorite character introductions, like my most favorite character introduction in the films of Lokesh. I think you already know this, but stay till the end. It's going to be very exciting. So foreshadowing can be defined in 4 ways. Yeah, foreshadowing can be defined in 4 ways. The first is which in essence relies on 2 key factors: setup and payoff. You promise something and you deliver on the promise. You build anticipation by showing something and then you reveal the suspense. Now what's interesting is that Lokesh begins introducing his characters even before the release of the film. And yes, I am talking about the title teasers, which I think deserve a lot more love than they already get. We don't talk enough about those amazing title teasers that come out for almost all his films. I think that started with Vikram, and then we had for Leo, then we had for Coolie, and I hope this tradition continues. And yes, in title teasers there is setup and payoff because we see all of this happening in the film. In the title teaser of Vikram, we are of course introduced with the character of Vikram, and we also learn about how he brings food to the table and safeguards his family as well. We also notice the use of masks, which sets up his hidden identity as a police officer, which gets revealed during the midpoint. By the way, that is also called bait and switch character introduction, when the different identity of a character is revealed during the midpoint, which is the interval block, which is way different from what was portrayed previously in the beginning of the film. Same goes for the title teaser of Leo. If you look at it, you will see what I'm talking about. And yes, of course, if you look at the teaser of Coolie, there are some clues which I'm sure which are going to appear in the film when it releases. But outside the LCU, I think the best example of visual foreshadowing is the character introduction of Bhavani. Like in the opening montage, we notice how he continues to face the barbaric treatment inside the correction facility, but he projects all his anger and resistance to fight back into his fist. The fist becomes stronger with every blow that hits him, and eventually that fist represents fear stemming from power, the same fear that he faced that has now become his weapon.
கொலை பண்றதால வர பயங்கிறது கொஞ்ச நாளைக்கு தான். இதே பதவி அதிகாரத்துல உட்கார்ந்த பயம் வாழ்நாள் முழுக்க இருக்கும் இல்லையா?
Also, there is one more thing that I want to include in visual foreshadowing. Yes, I think it is part of visual foreshadowing. I did not write this, I just thought of it. And this is very evident in the films of Lokesh. The way the credits get displayed in the opening of the film. Opening credits, yes, but the way they appear on the top of an action, the way they appear on the top of an activity that is happening in the film. I really don't know if there is a technical term for the way the titles appear like this in films, but I get super excited when I see titles like these. So first there is a visual, like if you look at the opening scene of Kaithi, or if you look at Master, even Vikram, something is happening on the screen, and then the credits are appearing on the top of the visuals first, and then the credits are appearing like there are gaps, like there is a blank screen with a credit and then there is a visual. There is a blank screen again with a credit and then there is a visual. It just builds up so much of anticipation and excitement that it just works every single time. I hope he continues this tradition of, the way he does opening credits. I really like that, and I think that can also be a part of visual foreshadowing. But by the end of the film, we also notice how Bhavani's fist of power is defeated with an object that belongs to his character. This object becomes a symbol of karmic consequences. It represents the consequences of his acts of brutality in the name of taking revenge against his perpetrators. I mean, all of us remember the film and all of us see how we first, empathize with his character. We understand how he became the person he became, but then when his actions become way too brutal, then we know what happens. And this object is nothing but his own bracelet, which brings us to symbolic foreshadowing. Is an extension of visual foreshadowing that focuses deeply towards symbolism. Just like visual foreshadowing, symbolic foreshadowing also helps in creating the entire character arc. In the LCU, if we take the example of Sandhanam, then in this scene, when we witness his character coming out of the auto rickshaw, which is the character introduction scene, his face is hidden intentionally because we first have to introduce, the audience needs to get introduced with him with the help of a symbol that we have to associate with this character, which is the rod of Asclepius. I'm so sorry if I'm, ruining the pronunciation, but the rod of Asclepius is a commonly used sign by medical professionals. But for the character of Sandhanam, the rod of Asclepius has a different connotation. To explain that connotation, we have another symbolism closely attached to Sandhanam, and that is the blue pill. Let's just call it the blue pill. The use of this blue pill gets attached to his character throughout the film to reveal his obsession with ecstasy and power, and the placement of this blue pill in certain moments of the film is done so well. Alright, we have now arrived at the midpoint. So far we have discussed two ways of foreshadowing that are all about visual aesthetics of introducing a character, which setup and payoff helps in creating the anticipation for the audience. But character introductions are not just about feeling emotionally elevated in that very moment when you witness them for the first time. Character introductions are also meant to stay with you. They are meant to be memorable. There is a reason why we love to rewatch just character introductions, because we remember them so fondly and so vividly. Speaking of remembrance, let's talk about Leo. Let me give you the simplest example, for which I can just keep the screen blank. I don't have to show you any visuals. I will just write these three words. Now you have the entire scene playing out before you. You have the entire character in front of you, and you know the character's actions. Similarly, if I write this, you know exactly what and whom I'm talking about. And these keywords of remembrance become crucial not just as narrative threads in interconnected stories, but also do a great job of introducing a character in standalone stories. The best example with a subtle usage of this technique is in this scene from Kaidi, where Dilli is hidden in plain sight. If you can notice here, Dilli is hidden in plain sight. And that's intentional because his character reveal is going to happen via dialogue. This dialogue, the guy had a beard and looked suspicious. This dialogue becomes the anchor for the character reveal at this point. But the point is that the dialogue becomes a tool for remembering something within the story itself, both for the characters and for the audience. Okay, so far we have talked about visuals, which also includes symbolism. And then in order to make a character introduction memorable, both inside and outside the story, you need dialogue. But all of this will look and feel absolutely bland if we don't have of course, the background score, a musical theme attached to the reveal of a character, which becomes a cinematic catalyst of emotional fulfillment when your anticipation is welcomed with open arms. Most importantly, you immediately associate it with the character the moment you start hearing it. Just like visual and dialogue foreshadowing, musical foreshadowing continues even after the character is introduced in the story. The use of this recurring musical theme is called leitmotif, which is used to create a symphonic association with a character throughout the story. I don't have to show you examples of this because you know what I'm talking about. But then there are these two instances in Lokesh's films which work really well in terms of marinating visual and musical foreshadowing for delayed character introductions. Here's what I'm talking about. First is Leo, where Lokesh subverts our expectations by not taking too much time to reveal Parthiban's face, which is not usual because usually directors take time to introduce. They will have a lot of characteristics of the character and then reveal the face, but not in the case of Leo. It feels nice, it feels good, but it doesn't feel epic, and Lokesh understands it and then immediately raises our excitement levels with this scene where Parthiban is trying to save the kids from the hyena. But even this feels unfulfilled, right? Now, remember how I just told you how character introductions ultimately have to remain memorable for the audiences? And in this case, Lokesh uses musical foreshadowing and visual foreshadowing in a delayed manner by bringing a musical theme from outside the LCU. And this does not matter if it's outside the LCU because it just works perfectly. Another great example of this delayed character introduction using the same technique is in Vikram. We meet our 11th hour ranger. You can have multiple names of this character introduction trope, but the 11th hour ranger, Agent Tina, her character introduction becomes so epic because of, again, visual and musical foreshadowing. And then, of course, we finally meet the real Vikram, the real ghost, in this manner.
Once upon a time, there lived a
But wait, that's not all. This is not the ultimate, but the penultimate amalgamation of Lokesh Kanagrad's masterful use of foreshadowing, the greatest character introduction. You know what? I should stop talking. Let me show you.
இங்கே தான் இருக்கேன். இந்த சிண்டிகேட்ல நிறைய லூப் ஹோல்ஸ் இருக்கு. சென்னையில எவ்வளவு பெரிய லாட் நம்ம கையை விட்டு போனதுக்கு காரணம் அமர்னு ஒருத்தன். ஆளோட பேக்ரவுண்ட் மிலிட்டரி. இப்ப ஆள் வர மிஸ்ஸிங். என்ன பண்ணுவானே தெரியல.
ரோலெக்ஸ், ட்ரிச்சியில் நடந்த ட்ரக் பஸ்டுக்கு காரணம் மிலிட்டரியோ போலீஸோ இல்ல.
திருச்சியில் ஒரு ட்ரக் பஸ் நடந்தது கேள்விப்பட்டிருப்பீங்க.
ஜெயில இருந்து பரோல்ல வந்த ஒரு கைதி. அவன் பேரு
ரோலெக்ஸ்.
அவன் பேரு டெல்லி.
உத்தரப்பிரதேஷ்ல எங்கேயோ இருக்கானா?
பெற்ற தாய் தனை மக மறந்தாலும் பிள்ளையை பெரும் தாய் மறந்தாலும்.
எங்கள் சைடில் சரக்கு காணா போனதுக்கு காரணம் விக்ரம்னு ஒருத்தன். அவன் நிறைய தடவை செத்ததா கணக்கு காமிச்சிருக்கான். நிறைய தடவை உயிரோட வந்ததாகவும் கணக்கு காமிச்சிருக்கான். அவன் அப்படி இருந்தான்னா அவன் பேரன் கூட தான் இருக்கணும். அவன் பேரன் எங்கேயோ வெளிநாட்டில் இருக்கிறதா சொல்கிறாங்க.
ரோலெக்ஸ், இவனெல்லாம் தேடி கண்டுபிடிச்சி கொள்றது கஷ்டம். முதல்ல நம்ம டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூஷன் ஆரம்பிப்போம். எவன் கையிலையும் சரக்கு இல்லாமல் தூங்காதானுங்க.
All right, you know what happens next. What Rolex will...
Just stop!